What is up, guys? This is Scratch Tutorials. It has been a while since I did my first and second part on how to make Five Nights at Freddy's in Scratch, but we're going to pick it up again and continue going along with this project. So what I'm going to do is keep on doing improvements to the title screen. This is what it looks like right now, but when we click play, you see how it just appears with this text. So what we're going to do is we're going to improve this to make it look better. So we are going to create a new project that we're going to paint. We're going to just do lines. Okay, to stick with our theme, we're going to go over to a different sprite, and we're going to copy this square, and we're going to paste it over here using Control-C or Command-C, depending on if you are on Mac or PC. And we just need the colors, so what we're going to do is we're going to get this and use the eyedropper tool to select it, so the brightness is 69. So we're going to delete that, and we're going to create a new square, and we're just going to make this like this, and put that in the center, and make it like this thin. Make sure it's in the center. So there we go. Now we have our little huge, very thin rectangle. So now we're going to go back to the code. We're going to make sure we're going to actually set this to 0, 0, so we know it will be in the center when we start it. We're actually going to hide the original. Okay, so we're going to switch back into where the night is displayed, and we can see that we actually have a receive for static dissolve game start, which is when the night shows. Okay, so we're going to go back over here and grab when I receive and change it to static dissolve game start. So when we see this, we know that this is going to display the night, so we can also display the bars at the same time. So then we can create our clones from that. So we're going to create a clone of myself, and we're going to repeat this, and we're going to grab a random number from, let's say, 3 to 6. And this will create a clone of this bar 3 to 6 times. So we're going to grab when I start as clone, which then we can now code for specifically the clones. We're going to add a positioning block. So we're going to grab a pick random block, but we can just duplicate it from the already existing one. And we're going to throw this in the Y because we don't actually need to worry about the X because we just want it X controls left to right. And we only want it to affect up to down stuff. So we're going to actually show it, and we are going to drag it around, and we're going to find the best suitable top position. So we want 71 here. So I'm going to actually round this down to 70. We're going to drag it down here, and we'll probably do the same down here and just do negative 70. So I'll just go ahead and change this to negative 70 and then 70. So now it will choose a random position. We can actually see this if we drag this out and then click it. So we can see that it has a random position. So we're going to put this back, and we're going to hide the original. So we want it to be a different opacity, which means how clear it is. We don't want just a solid line because that would be boring, basically. So what we want to do is we want to go to the visual blocks, the looks, and we want to get set color, and we want to change it to ghost. So basically, ghost means how transparent it is. So if it's 0, it's going to be full opacity. So basically, if I change it to 100, then it'll be completely invisible. And that is actually how you get around the terrible mechanics of the hide block, because once you hide it, you can't click on it. But if you set the ghost effect to 100, you can still click on it, but you can't see it. So let's see how 20 looks. That looks pretty good. Let's see how 50 looks. Okay, that looks good too. So we're going to actually grab this random block, and we're going to change it from, let's say, 20 to 45. So then we will get a random ghosting effect from 20 to 45. Perfect. So now let's change the ghosting effect back to 0. And we might as well add it to the start block so it will show up completely without any ghosting effects. So we're going to put this under when I start clone as well. So now we will see that it will, when we click this, it will create a random amount. So you can see that right there. And since there are still clones there, we can actually go over here and click delete this clone. So then it will actually vanish. So when you click the stop button, you can actually remove the clones. So we just removed all the clones. And what we want to do is we want to get a wait for seconds, and we want to grab the randomness, and we're actually just going to take a look and see how fast we want the clones to disappear. Let's see how 0.1 is. Okay, that looks pretty good, but we want some randomness in it. So let's do from 0.05 to 0.1. Perfect. Now, that looks pretty good. So one thing I forgot to mention is we need to go into looks and we need to grab show, and we want to put it in between set ghosting and wait for. So if we don't, then it's going to take the attribute from the parent, which in this case is the original sprite, and we have it hidden. So it will be hidden. So we want to say show. So let's go ahead and test it out. Make sure to save. That looks a lot better. And that is a very small portion of a normal Scratch project, but it allows you to have more characteristic and personality to your project. So now we need to design part of the office. And this is going to be the hardest part because you want a good looking office. So this is my office right here. It is the standard Five Nights at Freddy's 3 office, nothing special. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert this into vector first, because you should always do that. And we're going to make this bigger. Okay, so we now have the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 office. And you can see that you can move it around and your perspective will shift. So we're going to use this office in our tutorial. You can use any office you want, but I am just using this office just for simplicity. I will be making a separate tutorial on how to make an office with doors specifically, so you can have that option too. But in this, we're just going to have it so if the person closes their cameras and the animatronics happens to be in the same position, then it will just have the animatronic there. There will be no doors, but it will still be a smooth transition. So you're probably wondering how we're going to get this office to move. So first we need to choose a default position, and I think that this position is going to do nicely. So we're going to grab this position and we're going to set it to -8. Let's see if that is good. No, we're going to move it down just a little bit more. Perfect. So -10. Great. So that's going to be the default position, and we want it to move. So I've done some testing, and I found this code to be the most efficient. It scans to see where your mouse position is, and if the mouse X is greater than 100, then it will move the thing left, and if it is less than -100, then it will move it right. And it will stop at a certain position, and we can actually see down here, it always stops at the same position. So this will make it easier for making different like cameras and stuff appear only if you're on the right side of the office. So now we need to write the code for when the office appears. So we're going to go over to our night start so you can see that we can add something onto it which will allow us to, if I set it to like 3 seconds, and we're going to broadcast a new message. So we're going to create a new message and call it show office. We're just going to put this after the 3 seconds, and we're going to test to make sure and see if it's the right amount. So we're going to hide the office on startup so it won't be there. And then when the game starts, then we can, when we receive the show office, then we can show. So let's test this out real quick. Perfect. So now it appears, but I think I want it to take a little bit longer. So we're going to take a look at how long the sound lasts. So we can see it's 4.69 seconds. If we go back to the sprite, we can actually change this to 4.69. And now it will be longer. Perfect. Great. So now that we have the office complete, we need to decide what we're going to have. So what I'm going to have it do is I'm going to have the camera over here, and then I'm going to have this, so you have to look away from the animatronic in order to get it to go away. So let's go ahead and get started by adding the button. So I have found a button online. There are many buttons online. So I have found a button online, and you can find many buttons online. In fact, you could just design your own if you wanted to, just by like using all the things Scratch has built in, but I've chose to just find one for the sake of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to rotate it. So we're going to go into motion, grab point and direction, and we're going to set it to -90 so it faces up. And we can go ahead and add when flag is clicked, so always do that, and we're going to find a suitable position for this button. I think right there is good. So now we need to create a variable to make sure we know when to show this button. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the office, and we're going to create a new variable called camera show, and also right side of office, because we're going to have the right side where you look away to get the animatronic to go away. So we are going to have a camera show variable, and we're going to have a very simple statement that is, we're going to have it go forever, and we're going to have it go when the office is shown, because we don't want it showing in the menu screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set it to 0. So we're going to copy this variable, set it to 0 on game startup, and we're just going to have an if statement, an if else statement. And we're going to duplicate the camera show again, and we're going to have if x position is equal to, and we have 113. Then we're going to switch these two so it will show when the x position is equal to 113. Okay, but now we need it to show up in the button. So now we're going to set something very simple that says when the flag is clicked, forever, if else, camera show is equal to 1, then we'll have it show, else hide. We also need to say go to front layer, so it'll go in front of the office. So let's try it out. Perfect. So now you can see that it appears whenever I am on the left side of the office, and it hides wherever else I am. So this is exactly what we want. So this is going to end this tutorial right here. If you want to see more of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and that would help me out a lot. I will link the project in the description page, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.